Hi guys, in this video I'll give an introduction to the elements of a basic Java program. I talk about what a class is, I talk about the main method and arguments that we can pass to the main method. I demonstrate how to create a variable and how to output information to the console. So Java is an object-oriented programming language. That means it consists of classes. And a class is a blueprint of an object. So we use classes to create objects. The class is really used to describe the details of any object of the class. And it has a state and it has behavior. And the state is typically defined in terms of variables. And the behavior is defined in terms of methods or functions, if you will. Now, to give you an example, let's say we have a car. A car has a state such as the number of seats, the steering wheel, the engine, the wheels, the color of the car, the speed of the car, if the lights are on or off, if the engine is on or off. And then it has behavior such as turning on the engine, turning on or off the lights, accelerating, braking, turning. And typically this behavior operates and modifies the state. So initially the car, the speed is 0, but then if we call the method to accelerate, the speed will increase. If we call a method to turn on the lights will go on. So we always have state and the behavior modifies the state. And the class is used to wrap that into a unit. So once we describe a class, we can then instantiate it by creating objects. But I don't talk into too much details here, just to give you a quick idea of why the class is up here and kind of roughly understand what it means. Now in Java, we cannot do anything without a class. And that's the reason why the first thing we see here, there's a class and there's a name. This is the name of the class. Now, in the beginning, this class we can really treat it as our program, and we give it just the name of our program. We always have a single method in the beginning, which is just the main method. And the main method is unique in that it is the entry point to our program. When we launch this program, this is what will be called and will start executing our program. We have public, static, void. Static means that we do not need an object. We can see we only have the class. There's nothing that indicates that we created an object. And static means that we just run this method without any object. We run it on the class. And we have the class here. We have just the method that operates on the class level. Void means that this method doesn't return anything. We just want to execute it. We don't want to compute any information that we give back to the operating system. And then main, I mentioned it's a unique name that means it's the entry point. And then we have something here in parentheses that are the arguments. This is information we can give to the program. I'm going to show that in a moment. Now anything here in this code block, this is the method body. This is where we write our program. So any program we want to write, this is where the statements go, and that will be executed. Now if you wondered why I use 2 slashes is a comment. So anything that is defined as a comment will be ignored by the execution when we run our program. And the compiler will ignore it. It will not check it. Now, let's start by creating a variable. I call a variable named string. So a variable here is really just some unit of storage in memory where we can store some information. And whenever we want to store something, we have to roughly classify it into a type of the data that we intend to store. So in this case here, I say I want to have a memory unit where I store strings. And then I can use an equal sign to assign something. Let's say I input the string John. Then John will be stored in this memory location, and I can always refer back to this memory location by the name that I give it. So in this case, it's the name. But I could really name it anything. If I would want to store fruit in there, I could call it fruit and then store something else. So the name should always be representative of the memory that is stored here. Now a string is a sequence of characters. In this case, I store JOHN, the name John, and strings are always used with double quotes to mark the beginning of a string and to mark the end of a string. Now that I have stored this, let's read that memory and output it to the console. So in order to output something to the console, I use system.out.println, and I use hello. I put a space here, and I use plus name. The plus is string concatenation. What that means is it will output these characters, HELLO, add a space, and then just append whatever is stored in this variable. So it will read out John and output John. Now if I run this, I will see the output down here. It put hello John. So it read the value in this variable and output it to the console. The same I can do on the command line. So if I do Java basic program Java and execute it, we can see that I get hello John as well. Now I talked about the arguments. The arguments is essentially what I provide to the program here. So assuming I don't want to output what is stored in the variable, I want to reflect what is in the arguments. I can access it by an index. So the brackets here means there are multiple strings consecutively, and I can access them by index. So I can access the first argument at index 0, and let's say I add a string comma, and I do access the next one at index 1. This will output hello space, then whatever I provided as a first argument at index 0, then add a comma to it and a space, and then output what I added as second argument. So let's go back here and let's run this Java basic program, and I use John and output the last name Doe, and now I hit enter. We can see it outputted hello. It read the first argument that I provided, John. It added a comma that I added then to append it to the string here, and then it outputted Doe. So this gives you some rough idea what's going on in a basic Java program. Thank you for watching.